Hello everybody, welcome back to Planet X News. It is January 13th, 2022. Well folks, I know it's been quite a while since you've actually heard my voice in one of my videos, and I apologize for that. Number one, I've been super busy, over this past year, and especially over the past 9 months. Things have gone downhill with Dr. Albers and her health, and I really don't want to get into all of that right now. The censorship on social media, YouTube, Facebook, it's just been pretty bad, and I haven't been posting a lot or making a lot of videos, and I haven't been narrating the videos because of the things that I'll have to say are topics that are heavily censored on these social media platforms now. So, I've had to resort to, kind of just showing the evidence and maybe, typing some things in for you folks to read. I have been, steadily keeping up with all of my work every single day, and I am seeing some very, very drastic changes that are occurring on our sun, and they are basically affecting the Earth. There are other factors out there that are contributing. And the other day, I just happened to catch the movie 2012 again. And that movie is based on something occurring on the sun that is affecting the Earth. And the catastrophes happen thereafter. If all of you want to refresh your memory and either go on YouTube or your local cable company and rent that movie 2012 with John Cusack, the actor, and I believe Danny Glover, a couple really good actors and actresses play in the movie. Watch that movie again, because we all know how these movies that are put out there many, many years, sometimes even decades before, are kind of showing us what is entail for the future. Where do they even get these ideas? And then maybe decades later, they all seem to kind of play out. But we'll get into that in a minute. As of lately, and I'm sure probably all of you know from watching maybe other YouTube channels, we've been seeing a lot of activity on the sun. There was a short period where things were kind of, we were at a lull. But now it seems to be picking back up. And just yesterday, several very, very large coronal mass ejections. The day before, very large earthquakes rocking across the globe. Not going to get into all the earthquake data and bore all of you to death, but there were two magnitude 6.6 and I think 6.8 in the Aleutian Islands in Alaska. A pretty sizable earthquake right off the coast of New Zealand. I think it was a magnitude 5.7 or 5.8. But this is all starting to occur now. And it seems that we're moving in some cycles where as the Earth rotates around the sun and our seasons change, it seems that we get into these cycles where things get pretty rough here on Earth. Earthquake related, weather related, and the more and more I dig into this, and this has been many, many years now, and I've spoken with all of you about the Earth tilt and the Earth wobble. What you're seeing on your screen now is the large coronal mass ejection on the backside of the sun on January 12th. I have some great captures for you that I haven't shown yet. I'll include those at the end of my speaking here. But this year, again, getting into the seasons, and I don't know, where each and every one of you that are viewing this video, where you exactly live. But where I live, on the east coast of the United States, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, each and every year since 2015, I have noticed slight changes in our seasons, how they come in, meaning when they begin, when they end, when they change. And every year, since 2015, the day after Christmas, the temperature here in the Pittsburgh area has been at or above 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Once again, this year, 2021, temperature 62 degrees. How is that even possible? And then we get into some of these key words that are heavily censored, such as, global warming, climate change, blah. That's what it's all being disguised as. Those two words that I just mentioned, global warming, climate change, do you honestly think that they occur so rapidly in the course of 5 or 6 years? I don't think so. So there's another factor. And I've been researching that factor for a very, very long time. And it seems to me, after watching that movie 2012, it just popped in my head. So what would cause the seasons to change? Well, here in my area, fall did not come till about the middle of November. The grass was still green. There were still leaves on the trees. The temperatures were fantastic. Where did fall go? And then we moved into wintertime. I remember growing up here in the Pittsburgh area as a kid. In the early 1970s, in the 1980s as a teenager, the weather absolutely sucked. We would have constant snowfall, all lake effect snow coming down from the Great Lakes across the region, frigid temperatures. And now, that's all changed. It's been changing. It's been changing rapidly. And I've noticed these things around the world. And if you get on a global map and look at some temperatures right now, which we'll do, you'll see what I mean. And a lot of you live in some of these different states or countries. So you know what I'm talking about because you're living it each and every day. So the activity on the sun is increasing. The coronal mass ejections are getting bigger and with more frequency. Almost, and I've said this before, on a daily basis. If you go back in time and you look at this activity on the sun and compare that activity, which would be relatively low as far as coronal mass ejections, compare it to the last 5 or 6 years leading up to today. And you'll see what I mean. Well, my biggest fear is moving into this solar maximum. What are things going to look like or be like on this planet in 5 years from now or less? That's the big question. Those are some of the things that I fear right now. And if you go back and you watch that movie 2012, and you pay very, very close attention to the very beginning as they set the plot up. And the plot goes, a scientist, I believe in India, discovers that situations on the sun, he uses the term neutrinos. And Dr. Albers wrote many articles pertaining to these neutrinos flowing from the sun, impacting the earth continuously, and heating up the core of the earth. Therefore, that would give credence to the increase in volcanic activity and earthquake activity. Then we move into, why are the seasons changing? Well, we all know about Earth tilt. And let's just take a look at this Earth tilt. Oh, by the way, I had this set up so you guys know what movie I'm talking about. It's the movie 2012, not to be misplaced with the other movies about, the end of the world and doomsday. The movie 2012. Go and watch the whole movie. It's a great movie. But go ahead and watch it and pay attention in the very, very beginning, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, and this turns into a major catastrophe, and it changes life on Earth forever. Getting into this Earth tilt. I've talked about this, I don't even know how many times. Okay, we all know that the Earth's North Pole and South Pole axes point to the North Star, Polaris, and I forget the name of the other star in the south. I have it on a diagram that I'm going to show you guys. Okay, but that only tilts the Earth in one direction, therefore giving us our seasons. Okay? And there was something I wanted to show you guys. Where was it? Okay, this is the diagram that I'm going to show you guys, but I've added some things to it. It says that this tilt in Earth's axis is what is responsible for seasonal changes during the course of a year. When the North Pole is pointed towards the sun, the Northern Hemisphere experiences summer and the Southern Hemisphere experiences winter. When the South Pole is pointed towards the sun, 6 months later, the situation is reversed. Okay, well, during these seasonal changes between the two hemispheres, over the course of the last couple of years, we've all seen the extreme weather changes in the Northern Hemisphere and in the Southern Hemisphere. When it's summertime in the Southern Hemisphere, we've seen the massive heat up, especially in the country of Australia, because there's not that much land mass in the Southern Hemisphere as there is in the Northern Hemisphere. And it seems like Australia has been taking the brunt of it during their summertime. And their wintertime is getting colder also. I have some very in-depth thoughts about this, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump out of here. And this is real quick. I wanted to show you guys this before I forget. This is the cactus. This is 2022 January 12th. This is the same coronal mass ejection that I showed you on the SEEDS coronagraphs. Look how massive that is. That was on the backside of the sun. Kind of looks like it's coming right at you, but it's not. That was on the backside. Imagine something like this catastrophically coming towards the Earth. We can literally be right into that movie 2012. So again, you guys go and watch that movie and you guys check it out. But I wanted to show you this diagram, and this is the one that we were just looking at in the article when I was talking about the seasonal changes. Okay, so we have the Earth, north axis, southern axis, North Star Polaris, Southern Star Sigma Octanus. Okay, so these are the two stars that the Earth's axis points to. And that is how our tilt, that's how our tilt is. Okay, that's how it's acquired. I was looking for that key word. But how does this Earth wobble happen? You know, scientists try to explain it, but it just doesn't make any sense. And the Earth wobble has gotten worse. How do we know? Well, let's just take a look at the seasons. Why would the seasons be changing? How could the seasons change? You cannot blame all of that on global warming and climate change. I'm sorry, you just can't. So in this diagram, I've placed in the very acute orbit of our Planet X friend as it rotates around the sun in its 28-day orbit. And each and every time that object loops around with the very intense magnetic field that it has, don't you think that it would be affecting the Earth? The Earth having a molten iron core? The core is heating up. If this object had the ability and the strength to intensify and pull on the Earth ever so slightly, what do you think would happen? Seasons would start to change. And just in, normal evolution of the Earth, the seasons didn't just change that rapidly. It probably took hundreds, if not thousands of years to occur naturally. But now, in a 5-6 year time span, it has increased tenfold. So the weather that I'm experiencing where I live, it's almost like the Earth has been tilted in such a way, that wobble, which has changed my weather where I live. It's very strange being here in Pittsburgh, where I grew up, and walking outside on Christmas Day and the day after Christmas, and it's 62 degrees. It's weird. Doesn't make sense. And it's alarming. Now, I'm not saying that the Earth's going to flip over and, we'll have all this crustal displacement. No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is we have a very, very large influence out there orbiting our sun. And I have shown everybody the evidence year after year after year after year. And, thank God that I've been able to adapt and get some help with technology to bring these images in even more clearer than have ever been seen. And speaking of the images, there's a few YouTube channels out there that are kind of, they're doctoring some images, and they're trying to make their images look like mine. But they're complete fakes, because there is absolutely no way in hell that they could have the same technology that I now have access to. Well, I've actually had access to it now. It's going on 3 years. And I have some help on the other end. And it's taken a very, very long time to put all of this together, to figure it out. So, don't be fooled by these other channels that are showing you mocked up photographs using, I don't know, like Microsoft Paint and some of those other programs. But anywho, this is what I'm thinking. Because of these changes in the weather, the climate, these seasonal changes is what's alarming to me. So what do things look like 5 years from now? Maybe all of the solstices, the winter solstice, the spring, the summer, the fall, maybe they all change. Yes, the Earth's axis will point to Polaris and Sigma. That maybe won't change. Hopefully it doesn't, because that would be catastrophic. But what is changing is the Earth's wobble around the sun. So one complete wobble takes 365 days. We're not talking about the Earth's rotation. We're talking about the Earth wobbling on its axis. So as the sun rotates around the sun in the course of 365 days, it is wobbling on its axis. That wobble is becoming more and more acute. Its angle is becoming more acute. So, for instance, at this time of year, we're in January. We had our first little snowfall a couple days ago. Wasn't much. 2.5, 3 inches. Right after that, the next day, it was 42 degrees. All the snow melted. All the rivers, rose. And we barely missed a major flooding event. So again, the question, how is that all possible? In January, in Pittsburgh, in the East Coast, super moderate temperatures. But it's just not here in the United States. It's happening over in Europe also, because they're right across the pond from us. Right now, the temperature in London is 41 degrees Fahrenheit. The same in southern Norway and Sweden. The temperature, moderate 40 degree Fahrenheit. Yeah. Iceland right now. Iceland. Hence the name. 19 degrees. Only. That's it. So, I've been, working on this theory for quite some time. Some days it baffles me. Some days I question it all. But there's one thing that is a fact, is that these seasons are changing so rapidly, and it's becoming so acute that you just cannot ignore it. And you can't label it climate change. Why, maybe I guess you can, because that's what's occurring. But it's not the same climate change that science wants to define in their own way, because they're leaving out one major factor. And we know what that factor is, because without that factor, they don't have a leg to stand on. Period. They could say whatever they want. They can write all of their abstracts. They could put out all of their research. But they're leaving out that one main factor. What's pulling on the Earth? What's heating the Earth's core up? What has caused the dramatic increase in larger earthquakes? Larger volcanic eruptions lasting many, many months. You see, science isn't always correct, as we've clearly seen over the course of the last 2 years, dealing with this, you know what I'm talking about, all these shutdowns, and I'm not even going to mention the word. Now I really am getting kind of worried what life is going to be like as we move further and further into this solar maximum, when the sun really starts to heat up, no pun intended. We have no way of escaping coronal mass ejections, massive solar flares blasting the Earth. Science, mainstream science, is just not going to tell us the truth, as all of you have seen with the other situation that has lasted, in the media over the past 2 years. You all know what I'm talking about. All lies. All lies. And they continue to lie. Is there a connection? There may possibly be. I really, I have been thinking about it. But if I try to voice those thoughts on this YouTube channel or any YouTube channel or on social media, ooh man, I'll be chastised. I'll be canceled out, deleted, terminated. None of you will hear my voice. So I think very strongly that this is what is happening to our planet. That we are being pulled on, tugged on, as this massive object rotates and orbits around the sun every 28 days. We get very close to it. It gets close to us. And as we orbit around the sun, there are periods in time where we actually get even closer. And things really start to heat up. And it seems to run, like in 4 to 6 month increments, when things really start to heat up, and we see that increase in earthquake activity, and we see that increase in volcanic activity, and we see this craziness with the weather. It just all starts up, and we have either 90 days of it or 120 days of just sheer freaking chaos across the globe. And then it kind of cools down for a month or so. And then boom, we're right back in it again. And the Earth's position in its orbit around the sun is different. Naturally. I hope all of this is making sense to all of you. I've tried to describe all of this the easiest way that I can. But you don't have to just take my word for it, folks. Just go outside. What's really been freaking me out, too, is throughout this whole entire summer and the beginning of this, fall, winter time, how big the moon looks in the sky. I mean, I've always been a sky watcher. I've always looked up during the full moon. But as of lately, that damn moon looks so damn big in the sky during a full moon that I could see the craters and the formations with my bad eyesight, without glasses. Look, I could see it. I was driving home, middle of November, kind of early evening. I mean, I could have almost turned my headlights out and drove down the dark road by the moonlight. And as I was coming down the road leading to my home, that full moon was right in my face. And I actually pulled over and I got out of the car and I looked up and I said to myself, okay, this is the size, this is the diameter of the moon. It's 238,000 miles away from us. How in the hell is it so damn big in the sky? Because I don't ever remember it looking like that in my lifetime. Is it an optical illusion? I don't damn think so. So, once again, we're faced with all of these questions that we need answers to. But one thing I know for sure is that things are changing very, very rapidly on this planet. And we all know that governments know a hell of a lot more than we do. And since I rewatched that movie 2012, it has sparked a fury in my brain. And again, I'll repeat myself. We all know how these movies are. They're telling us something that may be occurring decades into the future. Well, it's kind of weird because here we are, 2022, looking back at a movie called 2012. And that movie was based on neutrinos affecting the Earth, which came from the sun. Could you only imagine if they combined that movie, 2012, with what I'm talking about and showing you on the screen right now? Throw in the additional factor of this Planet X object orbiting the sun every 28 days, being as massive as it is, having a very, very strong magnetic field, therefore tugging on the Earth, increasing the Earth's wobble as it rotates and orbits around the sun in the course of a year, therefore drastically changing the seasons, and sooner or later, those seasons will be obsolete. Why? Well, you're not going to be able to call fall. You're not going to be able to call winter in those time frames, because all of those time frames are going to change. And they are already changing now, drastically. Just a thought. This is my theory. And I'm going to think a little bit more about it. And I'm going to dig a little bit more. And I'm going to see if I could find a little bit more evidence related to this. But, all the evidence I need is to simply go outside every day. Because I could see it and I could feel it. And if I'm seeing it, then you are too. But anyways, folks, I'll try to get on here more often. I've had my hands full this past year. Things are not good with Dr. Albers. Her health is very bad. And I've had to go, back to work full time. That involves 60 hours a week. There are some weeks I'm working 7 straight days. And just the mounting medical bills, because, we've been down this road before. I've discussed this before. She doesn't have health insurance. So everything I have to pay. And it's been tough. And it's been beating me down too, I'm at that point where, kind of really don't know what to do. Each day, I just go with it, That's all you could do. But anywho, I will try to get on here more often. Maybe on the weekends, if I have some time off, maybe I could do some live streams and maybe get you folks more involved with me. I was working on, several months ago, I was working on doing like a call-in where I could supply you guys with a telephone number, and you guys can call in and we can talk. We can actually talk, and you guys can answer, or I can answer questions that you may have. So I'm still working on that. I think I have it pretty well nailed down. So we'll see what happens. Maybe this upcoming weekend, I'll see if I could put it together and make it work and put that live stream out there and maybe answer some questions and bounce some ideas off of you guys, and you guys can bounce some off of me. But in the interim, I really do want you guys to start paying attention to the timings of these seasons, because they are changing, and they're changing rapidly, and each and every one of you should be recognizing this by now. Okay, so sit back and take a look at the latest photo captures I have. They are extreme, they are eye-popping, and again, I will do my best to get on here and get more information out to you folks. Maybe as soon as my schedule starts to lessen up a little bit. Okay? But listen, all of you, keep your eyes in the sky. Keep your eyeballs peeled for any information that you feel may be relevant. Okay? You could email it to me, and I'll check it out, or you can drop a comment underneath the video. And I still have the Planet X News private website network where you can join for $5 a month. That kind of helps me keep things afloat. And any of you want to make a donation for Dr. Albers, the PayPal link is in the description box underneath this video. So sit back, check these latest photo captures out. They are quite breathtaking.